welcome everybody. I'm a Learned Geek. Yes, it's learned. Why do I call myself that? It's because I try to learn a bunch of stuff when I have a problem, so I hope to share that with you today. So what am I working on today? Well, today, as you can probably see on my screen here, I've got this old Sony recorder that I had found. It's a little digital recorder, IC recorder. It's specifically P320. And the great thing about this P320 is that I was able to give it to my child, and she was able to record a whole bunch of stuff on it. And as you can imagine, the problem I'm having is that I want to get the audio off of it. I have maybe a good 40 to 60 files on there that I'd like to get off. So I'm running Windows 11. So I plug it in, I hear the ding that my Windows 11 machine has accepted it, but it doesn't show up anywhere. So I go out to the trusty Google machine, and I find out that, like most of you, if you're here, that end of support for Windows 8.1 and earlier, and it recommends downloading this digital voice editor. So I go ahead and I download this. There's a couple of different versions out there. 1.6, this sound organizer. So this is the one that we'd like, but this sound organizer is the new one. So 1.6 doesn't work. I wasn't able to get it to work. I tried compatibility mode. I tried to run it, both the install and the program itself, in compatibility mode. I tried to run version 2.0, which doesn't work either. So what do? I was really stuck. So I don't know if this is really the best way, but this is really what worked for me. So what I had gone and done is I went ahead and installed in virtual machine a Windows XP. So that might not be as crazy as it sounds, but I wanted to run you through those steps. So in order to save time here, I'm going to be doing some cuts, so I hope that doesn't throw you off, but I found this great article. So Professor Eric Priebus here wrote this simple little article, and it's talking about how to install Windows XP, or at least where to get it for VirtualBox. So it's not as bad as it sounds. Go ahead and download VirtualBox if you don't already have it installed. It's not that big of a deal. And once you get it set up and installed, what you'll need to do is effectively install Windows XP in this virtual machine. So what I did was I came in, and this is not necessarily a recommendation on how to do this. You might have a Windows XP machine or some other way of doing this, but I just ended up using VirtualBox. It's free. So you end up creating a new instance, and what you'll end up having to do is once you get this ISO downloaded, it even tells you here to click the link, and it's available for free. So once you download this, you'll see that there is actually a key here available for you. You can download it, and all you're going to do here in this Oracle VirtualBox Manager is you're just going to point at the ISO image. Just give it some names, fill some things out. It's going to ask you for things like memory and disk usage and things like that. So don't worry if you specify more disk than it needs. It's not going to take up space on your hard drive. But once you get that all installed and downloaded, what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to come in here and say that I want to start my Windows XP. So fortunately, it doesn't take as long to install and set up as it did in the old days when we ran those old machines. But what you'll see is it's going to run just like the old Windows XP. So if nothing else, it's kind of fun to see Windows XP here. I don't know what version you started on, but Windows XP is kind of fun for me to see anyway. And effectively what you're going to want to do is go through the process of setting up this digital voice editor. So the real question is, how do you get it set up onto your machine? Well, what you can do is create a shared folder. And what I did is I just said, go ahead and create a shared folder on my machine, my main machine, and set up XP Share, I called it. And I said to go ahead and mount it. And once you get that all set up, what you're going to find is inside of your Windows XP machine, you will have in my computer a new directory here. So I did have to go ahead and install this VirtualBox Guest Editions. And what's really nice is you can just insert this Guest Edition CD image. And once you insert that, once you choose this option off of the Oracle VirtualBox, it will go ahead and do this for you, install it because prior to doing that, I had some issues. I wasn't able to get this XP share scene, but I said go ahead and mount it on the X directory, and then on my local machine, what I can see is if I go out and grab my XP share directory, I can see that I just have a file out there. And if I go into this directory here, there it is. So once you get this installed, you'll just double click this and install it like anything else. So I do have my P series actually hooked to my machine right now, and what I'm going to do here is the first thing you'll have to do is you'll have to come up here to devices and choose USB, and make sure you check the device that it is that you want to have access to. So I'm going to make sure I check the one, this Sony IC recorder. Check the box. You'll hear the ding as you usually do, and if you have not installed the driver for it yet, you'll actually see it pop up here like we used to. And then when I run the digital voice editor, there we go. So once I finally get it hooked up, I had to unhook it and then hook it back in. So I would guess that's because I actually checked this after I already had it connected. So let's just make sure that you have this option here checked to connect it, and then wire it to your machine. So I'm just going to say, yeah, enable autosave. I already went through all of this, so I'm not going to do this, but I did say execute autosave, so it did go ahead and execute the autosave right away. So I'm just going to cancel that for the time being. But what happened then is all of my individual drives here, you can see that I have all of these files on here. And all I did at the time was I just came up and I said, you know what, for all of these files here, select them all, and I chose to MP3 convert them. So because I'm already sharing that drive on my machine, I just said copy them out to XP share, and then they were available as MP3s. So once they get all converted and exported, there's really not much to it after the fact. So just make sure that you check to have that specific device available under USB for the virtual box, because this is effectively choosing what your machine is available to do. And then once you hook it up, you'll hear the ding. You'll actually hear two. You'll probably hear one from your Windows machine, your Windows 11 in my case, and then you'll hear another one from the Windows XP machine. So that's about it. So once you have that all set up, there's not much more you need to do here in Windows XP. So I'm just going to shut down. If I actually click the X here in Oracle VirtualBox, if you're not familiar with it, you can either come here and say send a shutdown request, or if you just click the X on VirtualBox itself, it will do the same thing. I'll send the shutdown signal. There we go. Ah, the sounds of the 90s. Okay, and if you're still sticking around and you're kind of curious about what the next step might be, once you get those MP3 files off, these are obviously very old MP3 files. In fact, in my case, they're 10 years old or so, and I wanted to just run through them quick to see if they had anything valuable on them. So I went out and I had downloaded Whisper. Now the great thing about Whisper is that it will allow you to transcribe any audio into text files quickly and easily. So what I would recommend is that you download the CLI. CLI, if you're not aware, stands for Command Line Interface, and it will allow you to actually run the commands from the command line, like it sounds. If you don't want to do that, you can run Whisper Desktop, and that's perfectly fine as well. So if you'd like to run Whisper Desktop, you can go ahead. It'll give you some more information here about downloading the files and such, but effectively you need a model. So out on Hugging Face, once you click the link, you'll see that there's a whole lot of these out there, a whole lot of these models out there. You could probably run the small one. I ran the medium. The small one's obviously a little faster. In my case, the medium was really not that slow either. So if you would like to run this, what you should do is just make sure that you have the model in your directory along with the sample MP3 file. Once you get the hang of this, you can batch it or script it however you would like, and I will provide a little script here at the end. But effectively what you're going to do is you're going to run the main command. That's the CLI command, and you can see there's a bunch of options. So what we'll do is we'll specify first of all the model, which I mentioned that you should have in this same directory just for ease of operation at the time being. And what we'll do then is we'll specify the file that we want to use as the input. Now, one thing I'll caution you is that make sure, notice by default the command line completion, when I hit tab, it automatically surrounded it with quotes. If you don't put quotes around it, it's going to throw an error because of sometimes if you have spaces like I do inside of my specific directory here, inside of my specific file name, it's going to cause me a problem. So other than that, I'm just going to say I'll put a text file. I'm not going to specify the language or anything else because by default it's English. So once I hit enter at this point, it should go out. It's going to try to use my GPU for hardware. And that's about it. You can see how quick this is. Even using this so-called large, slow, medium model, it's a very short file in my case. And in this case, you can see it was my little daughter at the time who was, let's see, she was at that time about 2.5, and she was singing Happy Birthday to Grandma. So very cute. I obviously didn't want to lose that. So that's about it. So what I did then, if you're going to stick around for just a little bit, I installed a fun little tool called Edge-TTS that allows you to generate speech without any API key or anything. So this allowed me the opportunity to go out and create sort of markers inside of the file as I merge them all together using FFmpeg. So using this Edge-TTS, once you get it all set up and installed, you can run a command very much like this. You can put any text that you would like. And of course, I said write media, and I gave it a nice file name that made a lot of sense to me. And that way I can just say this specific thing. In this case, this is an example of a command that I was typing when I was marking some other content that I had on that IC recorder. So what I did was I said, go ahead and use this tool, say this specific text using this voice, and write it out to an MP3 file. So what I did once I wrote out all of those individual MP3 files is I did a couple of things. I actually downloaded a little simple beep that I found out on the internet, and this one just beeps. It doesn't do anything much more than that, but I used that as an indicator to transition between specific files that I was doing. And then as an example, here's one where I said January 3rd, 2017.
January 3rd, 2017.
So I generated a bunch of those of all different dates, October 2nd, etc. And then what I did is I used that FFmpeg command that I showed you to generate. I created a merge list. I said, go ahead and let's take a look at the merge list file that I created. And that merge list file just says, go ahead and this is the TTS stuff that was generated. This one, I think, says Mia playing with a digital recorder, and then it says the date, it beeps, and then plays the file. Beeps, plays another file, beeps, etc. So it's really up to you how you want to work that out yourself. But what you end up with then when you run that specific merge audio script using FFmpeg, I said go ahead and take all of those files that are in the merge list and just concatenate them together using a specific codec. You can use this yourself and just create a merged output file. So then what you end up with is a fun little output. In my case, I ran it through Audacity and cleaned it up, but let's just take a listen here. This is one that I happen to clean up.
Mia singing Happy Birthday. March 14th, 2013.
There we go. So I have quite a bit here. I think I have a half hour of some other things. So you end up with a lot of great ways to restore and save some of that old audio that might be laying around. It really doesn't take very long, but I hope this extra content here was fun for you. But effectively, remember, use the VirtualBox, install XP. It's available for free, and then you can get access to some of those old drives that you don't have available that maybe are laying in a box like mine happen to be. And then you can use all these fun new tools that are available to you, again, all for free, to go ahead and generate audio, clean up audio, merge them all together, and then save them off. So really a lot of fun. I hope this was valuable to you, and I hope you'll join me next time that I come up with something else fun that I have to work out. All right, thanks so much.